Thank you very much for that warm introduction, and thanks for the opportunity to address you. I must apologise for a late trip from Dunedin down south, but my time down there is quite consistent with the theme of this conference, and I'll come back to that. Can I acknowledge Barb and his enormous energy and focus that he puts into the New Zealand-Indian relationship, and also acknowledge our delegation from India, welcome, and our High Commissioner. I particularly want to acknowledge the excellent work done by Kanwal Singh Bakshi and Parmjit Parmar as members of our caucus, advocating consistently and energetically for the issues that come from the Indian community. Our international education industry has been part of the successful growth of the New Zealand economy, particularly over the last 7 or 8 years. Even when we were very short of money back in 2010-11, we put considerable investment into marketing New Zealand as an educational destination, and we are getting the payoff for that over recent years. As Barb pointed out, it's now become our 4th or 5th largest export. Now, it's been a subject of some scrutiny and at times controversy. And I think we stand pretty much alone as a political party as advocating ongoing growth in our international education market. I know in some parts of the country it's had a very significant impact. Where I come from, right down in the far south, Southland Institute of Technology can operate successfully in Invercargill to a large extent because of the around 1,000 international students that they bring to the small city, considerable proportion of which are Indian students. So we have a sustained and ongoing interest in the success of the industry, and we don't intend to allow the government's approach to be dictated by people who might have a range of other views around the political issues of migration. In recent times, we have made some adjustments to our migration policy and kept in mind the need to get the right balance of skills and people that are needed in New Zealand, but to make sure that our education remains attractive compared to other countries for those who want to come here. And the opportunities ahead of us are very positive. First, because the education industry has built an infrastructure now of investment and scale, which means it can respond to changes in demand successfully. And the New Zealand government has learnt a lot over recent years about how to ensure we retain balance and momentum and regulate the activities of the industry to maintain quality. But the other reason we can be positive is because the outlook for New Zealand is so positive. What will build the relationships between New Zealand and India is those young people, mainly young, seeing that they've had their education in an economy that provides ongoing opportunities if they choose that they want to be here, and that there's the kind of dynamism that will attract investment, create jobs, and allow them to be part of a global economy. And all of those conditions are good in New Zealand, and they're going to get better. The national government, the National Party, will be focusing on investing to support the economic growth. You see here in Auckland, great example of that with the opening of the Woodaview Tunnel. As this city keeps growing, and as the population and economy across New Zealand keeps growing, we want to invest to make that growth workable, successful and livable. We don't agree with the view that there's too much success. It must sound odd to people from large cities overseas to have some people saying New Zealand, that Auckland is somehow too big. It isn't. We can respond to the challenges of having more jobs, more people and more opportunities here. We'll also be continuing to focus on government helping to raise incomes. That comes with successful growth that is spread right across our community, and improving the other facets of our education system and our public services as we look through into the 2020s. I could talk about that at much greater length, but because of our late start to Auckland, I've got other obligations I'll need to meet. But I do want to make this point. Thank you for your commitment to this industry. You know, it's only 10 or 15 years ago, it was much smaller, with flickering potential and uncertainty. But a range of public organisations, private investors have committed to the education industry. For those who have a broader interest in the New Zealand-Indian business relationship, many have understood just how critical this industry is. I've had the opportunity to meet senior advisors to the Prime Minister of India, and it's almost overwhelming to understand the complexity of what's going on in India, but also the real potential for economic success there that they're beginning to realise. And it's easy to understand that the relationship with the New Zealand government will sometimes be in their focus and sometimes it won't, because they've got so much going on. But one thing that is always in focus is the business relationship, and that's why it's so important. It is a challenge to, for instance, create the kind of continuity that enables us to get a free trade agreement with India. We will keep working on that. But every single day, businesses are interacting between our two countries, and the Indian community here in New Zealand, of course, is well known for its entrepreneurial approach and its successful businesses. So I want to thank you for the commitment you make, for the risks you take, but also for the pastoral care that and the interest that you show, particularly in those young people who come here from India as part of education, and those younger ones who get started with their business. You know, we don't want to have to take a breather in this economy, because that would be the wrong signal to send to young people who see their future and their opportunities here in New Zealand. They want to see us getting right behind the changes they want to make, the risks they want to take, the talent that they want to use, the aspirations that they want to realise. And you are all part of that picture, and I want to thank you for it. Thank you.